Okay, so how do we create more than one graph and still have access to all of them? Still have access to all of them. So he says first way is you can open up a new graph window before creating a new graph. So we have a graph, for example, already existing, and now we want to create a new graph. So you do this first, and then you do whatever you want to do to create that new graph. Now remember, up here we created a new graph like this, and then we created a new graph like this, and then we did dev off to indicate where the code that was going into the new graph should end. That is, into here in this case. Now we do dev.new to create a new graph. So it's a different command than dev.off. So let's try this. I remember we have the empty cars database available. So I just did the head command just to see the fields, to remember what kinds of fields or variables are there. So there's MPG, there's CYL, and so on. And again, let's create a plot, say, of MPG versus weight. And let's try the attach functions just to give it a try. And remember that that's supposed to, so that we don't have to keep typing out MPG and WT, that we don't have to keep typing out empty cars and so on. So let's try that. So I have this command, plot, and I enter it and I get this plot. Now, if I do a different plot, let's say, so suppose I do this plot. Now here, before I do it, I have weight versus MPG, but now suppose I do this plot, and now see what I have. I don't have the weight versus MPG anymore. So I don't want that. So I want to be able to have access to both of them. So how can I do it? So let's try this out. So we type in dev.new first. So I typed in dev.new, and here I get this blank screen. But the other screen is still there. See, here's the other graphics is still there, but this one is there. Okay, now if I type this one, so now I should have access to both. So here's the weight one, and here's the cycle one. Okay, so that's one way to do this. Okay, so stop the video and make sure that you can get this working. Okay, now the next method, actually I can't get it to work. Maybe you can get it to work. He says after opening the first graph window, choose history recording. So that means go to here and history recording, which I chose. And then he says use these commands, but these are gray, so I don't know why. So maybe you can figure out how to do that. Okay, the next way he says to do this is you can use these functions here. So if you want to find out about that, type in this command, and you can read about it. Okay, we're going to start a simple example next, but just let's read this. So R will create attractive graphs with a minimum of input on our part. But you can also use graphical parameters to specify the fonts, the colors, the line styles, the axes, reference lines, and annotations. So we can get a lot of flexibility, they say. In this chapter, we'll start with a simple graph and explore. So we'll start here and explore the ways you can modify and enhance it to meet your needs. Then we'll look at more complex examples that illustrate additional customization methods. The focus will be on the techniques that you can apply to a wide range of graphs that you'll create in R. The methods discussed here will work on the graphs described in this book, with the exception of those created with the lattice program, which we'll see later. Maybe, I don't know if we'll get to that or not. But anyway, okay. So let's just see what we're going to be doing. So we're going to start with this simple example. We're going to start with this patient response to 2 drugs, so some small database. And we're going to get a graph like this, which I think we know how to do already. It's a line plot. And we're going to work with some some function called parameter function. And that's going to help us to change, for example, the dots and other things. We're also going to learn how to use different types of lines and different types of symbols. You can see all the different kinds of symbols. So here's an example of changing the line and the symbols. Here's some other parameters we can adjust. We can do things like change this a bit. Have 2 graphs. Add titles and axes. So here's a title, and put things like this here and things like this over here. We can get even 2 graphs on the same, 2 lines on the same graph with 2 different sets of data, basically. And the legend up here. We can, instead of having, we can actually have labels on each of the dots. You can put text inside there. And putting in 2 graphs here, like that. And so on. Okay, so let's stop here and we'll come back.